welcome back again to the New Black. And if this is your first time here, this is a place for us to muse, ramble, and reimagine the Black experience through the eyes of the millennial Black woman. And I am her, your host, Christy. So we're back, y'all, for another episode. If you're returning, I appreciate you so much. And I'm sticking beside it, y'all. I'm doing what needs to be done. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. I'm gonna start tonight how we start every episode with our Lux Slush libation of the night. And tonight, again, because it's summer, we're gonna roll with a little something. I'm in a summer wine kind of mood. And for me, summer wine basically means white wine. So tonight we're going to do a Sauvignon Blanc 2021. So not all that aged. Yeah, not all that aged. But again, first time, we're going to test it out. So if you're listening, we're going to do our little listener ASMR. If you're watching, you can see me cracking this open. And yeah, let's see. I am mixing a little bit, but it's fine. I'll be able to tell what I need to tell. All right, so it smells good though. I can tell it smells good. Oh yes, that smells divine. So, and this is by Charles Krug of the Peter Mondavi Senior Family Estate. So, let's see. Okay, I like it. Okay. We'll probably talk about that in our summer wine series. But anywho, so tonight I wanted to kind of dig into the family thing. I wrote this a while ago too, but ironically enough, a lot has happened today or in response to a lot of things. So I was talking to my dad on the phone today. My granny's birthday is coming up. But beyond that, there are some other things happening in our family that, you know, we're kind of dealing with, working through. And not particularly bad, not particularly good. Just things. And so it just really ties into making me think of family and kind of being the Black family experience as a whole. And, you know, it just reminds me, you know, our Blackness is really an experience, like a very shared and layered experience, from the things we go through with our parents and friends and how we're raised, the colorful colloquialisms, the soul music on Saturday when it's time to clean up, you know, the home remedies, Sunday traditions, church and dinner, you know, all those things that just bond us together no matter where you're from. I grew up in a smaller city, small town family. We've been there probably since the slaves got free. I don't know if that's politically correct, but or if it's factually correct, but I'm pretty sure it is. And so we have so many of these experiences as Black people. It's just really true proof that our Blackness is way deeper than the color of our skin. It's much deeper than that. It runs deep. even if you go, even like our African brothers and sisters, I have quite a bit of African friends and have some intimate relationships with people who are Native Africans, Native West Africans, etc. And essentially, they just black people with an accent. They have some of the same struggles, some of the same challenges, some of the same shared behaviors, just from a different time zone, if you will. So that can be pretty cool. It's cool to, from a culture standpoint, that we have that. And then on the flip side, there are a lot of things that we deal with as black people that are opportunities for improvement. I'll say that. Opportunities for improvement. It's a lot of that, and that is also something we share collectively. It's not just something one family deals with or in another family doesn't. It's something we all pretty much shares collectively. So, and I really think it starts with our history. Most of our families, like I said, like mine, have been where they are since they've been where they are. From the beginning of whatever time anyone can remember, maybe since we've been free, maybe since before that. I don't know. We might have just been here, but we've been in that one space, in that one mind frame, that one dynamic, that one thing for so long that it's so hard to try to get out of it and to try to move and change and do something better. We are tied heavily to our traditions or what we've always done, that we're only even right now in this time starting to even make some sort of change. And even that's hard. Even it's hard to try to get people to change, even right now. Even as we see things happening, even if things are growing, getting better, some things are not getting better, some are getting worse, or just getting different, or repeating. It's still so hard for us to make change and to start to shift the dynamics. So I was talking to my wax lady, if you know, you got a wax lady, sometimes the convo get deep. Sometimes she's trying to distract you, but in the midst of all that, we having a conversation and we're talking about having a baby or whatever, having kids no, we were talking about the fact that I do not wear a bra. I have not worn a bra, y'all. I don't even know how many years. I don't really own any bras except sports bras because I do wear them to the gym. And she was telling me, how her mom would never, and I was like, girl, my mom didn't like it either. I said there's so many things my mama didn't like that I would just be like, okay, I don't really care if you don't like it. And she would just move on, because at this point, what else can you do besides move on, girl? Like, it's my body. If I want to if my titties hang down to my knees, that's my business. That's not your business. You don't have to deal with it. So just go on. And I was explaining to her that she got over it. Just like she had strong feelings and opinions when I went natural. She has strong opinions and feelings about a lot of things. She has strong feelings and opinions about when I was going to have a baby. All up in my uterus. Before the Supreme Court was up in anybody's uterus, nobody was up in there harder than mama's trying to see when you having a baby. So, I'm just saying. So, but we finally came to a place, like I talked about on a couple of episodes ago. She's finally come to the realization that that's a deeply personal decision, and she respects that. And that's one thing I've always loved about my family, and that's they've always allowed me to keep my mind open and to have questions. Just like I've seen this video floating around about a young girl, you know, questioning the family dynamics and things. And I've always been allowed to do that for the most part, respectfully. And as an adult now, looking back and talking to friends about their upbringings and stuff, I realized that I was one of the lucky ones. Because not everybody really had that same experience. So, and you know, I got my notes here, y'all, because I don't want to miss the point. And so, I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. You know, I come from a family that was more of a village for sure. Like, my parents were young, in their 20s. My grandparents were huge in helping raise us. I only have one first cousin. I come from a kind of big family on my dad's side, but my nuclear family is pretty small. It's just my dad and his sister. She has one kid. Growing up, it was just me and her. And between my mom's parents and her and my uncles, you know, me and her both shuffled around. And even her other grandmother. We were all kind of just shuffled around in our village. That was our village. They raised us collectively. It takes a village, and I can't stress that enough. I don't have kids, but I know because I was raised in a village that it takes one. Everyone was there to help. It was like a rotation a lot of times. You gotta work this day, you work here, you work here. You get them here, you get them here, you get them here. The programs we were in, like, it really was a village. And I think that's a huge part of my existence and who I am as a woman right now was the way that I was raised in such a kind of open space. And, you know, things of previous family experience, things that happen between dynamics between mother and daughter, between dynamics of father and son and all that. For my mom personally, it made her feel like she had to do something differently. But I also think that because she was young and was kind of, I guess my mom is Gen X. So that kind of that generation that comes off right after boomers and being raised by boomers. And boomers are kind of like, especially black boomers, a lot of them were going through a lot. My grandparents, I guess, are kind of younger boomers or something, middle-aged boomers, I don't know. But because they had such a hard time and so little freedoms, their kids had a little bit more or a lot more because it was like an extreme. And so for me, I feel like that kind of shaped my mom's outlook on parenting. Like, she stayed so true to herself. The same thing that they say, I hear people saying all the time to moms, don't lose your identity. And I think she did a really good job of not doing that. And I would say she was gentle parenting, you know, before that was a thing. My parents were co-parenting, blended family. We was doing all of that before they were buzzwords. And it makes me feel good to know that that was something I grew up in. I don't have kids and I'm not a parent, but I could give some really good parenting advice about gentle parenting, co-parenting, blending families, because that's my family story. We did just that. My grandparents were divorced the year I was born, and we spent so many holidays together collectively. My parents get along. My parents' exes, they got along. It was just, it wasn't perfect, but they understood the assignment and they got it relatively right. And that's something I'm really proud of. And initially, I kind of thought my mom was being kind of selfish as a mom until I became an adult and seen what it was like. And I'm actually now thankful that she did be kind of selfish, because I think it just made for a better relationship for us all. Like, me and her are really tight. Like, that's my friend now. Like, I genuinely want to talk to my mom, even though I don't financially need her. I genuinely want to talk to her. I want to be around her. And the same for my dad, my grandparents. Like, I genuinely want to be around these people, even though I don't have to. Because the relationships we formed were not based on authoritarian, but they were based on love. Like, love. Now, don't get me wrong, there was some authoritarianism going on. I understood clearly who the boss was, but I still had a voice. I've never felt like I have not had a voice. And I'm just so thankful for that. And so, with all of that, because there was a lot that should have been fixed as well. The one thing I learned from that is that it allowed me to be me without much expectation. And some of the main things that helped with that was their willingness to be open-minded. And it wasn't always like this. But I think this is something that a lot of Black families or older people in Black families, I'm sure a lot of my fellow 30-somethings or 20-somethings can, or even 40-somethings, can recognize this in some of your families, is that they're just not open-minded. They are so unwilling to change that it makes it hard for us who actually are attempting to change to get anything done. And then it puts us in a place where we almost want to isolate from the family instead of getting closer. And I think that's something we don't talk about enough. It's scary, and it's hard. It's hard having hard conversations. I had to have a very hard conversation with my dad today about his own mentality. But the thing that I appreciated about it is that when he heard my perspective, he was willing to listen. He heard me and he said, you know what? I never thought about it that way. And I can't, because I'm doing the same thing that I'm kind of getting mad at somebody else for doing. And to me, that makes it all worth it. That's part of the reason why I was in tears today, because I'm like, damn, that was a hard conversation, but I'm glad I got the chance to have it. And with my dad, no less. And he was receptive and open. And I think that's something as Black families we all need, is an openness and a willingness to hear each other out. Especially the older people. And for people my age who want that for your family, because it's not you that have to change. Well, sometimes it is us that has to change, because we have to be willing to listen to the older people too. I listen to them all the time. But we have to have patience and we have to have grace to be open to push for these things. It's hard, y'all, I know, but it's something we have to do. And don't get me wrong, it took a while. It took a while. I'm almost 34 years old. It took a while. But I didn't push. I stayed consistent in my messaging, and I never backed down from my truth. I'm always going to speak my mind. So I did it, and I did it respectfully. And it worked out. It's still some growing and learning to do, but it's progress. And it makes me feel more positive about having children or bringing them into a family I can be proud of. Not sure. Gotta see what God says. But I feel open about it. I feel happy about it. I feel receptive about it. And I feel like we can start some healing from there. And we've done a lot of healing too. Always more to do, but you know. And then my other key for me, it was, and this was, I think, key in actually being able to keep it respectful and build openness, is to realize that only I can determine who I was and what was best for me. And they had to have the ability to accept and respect that even when they didn't agree. And I think it's the other way around. If you're not being fundamentally harmful to one another in a family, you have to learn to accept and respect what other people decide to do for their life. Because as kids, your kids are only going to be with you for so long. And this is something to think about even for you all that have kids. They're only going to be with you for so long. But in your home, under your rules for so long. So you need to make an impact. Because they're going to spend a lot more time out there on their own. And hell, you might spend more time needing them than they need you. The way this world works. So we have to be able to accept and respect each other's truth. And I feel like it took some pushing and prodding and moving. But that's one thing my family truly gets about me, is that they accept who I am and they respect that choice. Because with boundaries, once you start putting them up, you gonna either, essentially boundaries is either you gonna get down or you gonna lay down. To me, that's the way I see boundaries. You gonna get down or you gonna lay down. And for family, it's important to want to be around each other. So if we can all make that work, then I think that was one of the most important things that I've found in my own family that have helped. So, and I will say, by no means is my family perfect, because we absolutely are not. And that is why I find myself having to have a lot of hard conversations about things that I feel passionately about or strongly about, that I feel like, why don't any of y'all feel strongly about this? And why are we not talking about this? But I feel that passionately because I love them. And these dynamics that we have built, which have been very different from like my grandparents' upbringing, because I know all my grandparents, they're all living, we all spend time together, I spend time listening to them. I know that the way they were raised is so different from me, even though it's just one generation. It's so different. And how I would raise my kids is still even very different from my own mama. Well, slightly, because like I said, my mama was cool. She did discipline, she did teach respect, and I am a disciplined and respectful person. And I am proof that gentle parenting can work. Can turn great kids into good people. Okay? I mean, I have gotten spankings. I have gotten whooped. Well, not even really real whoopings, but I have definitely gotten spankings. I have definitely gotten popped in the mouth. But we had to learn. My mother never cussed at me. My mother never cussed around me. My grandmother did. My dad didn't even really. They were never like physically super verbally abusive or degrading or anything like. They always spoke life into me. And so I get how a lot of people was raised, but I understand this. And that's something I think is important. So I'll say I'm proof of a gentle parenting system, y'all. And I feel free to be who I am. I'm someone who is self-sufficient, can take care of myself. And I just want to say that my heart goes out to you all who didn't quite get the choice to be able to be free, to be who you wanted to be. And I'm here for you, sis. So I think that's pretty much it for me. Ooh, I had to take a little sip on that note. So to wrap up, I will encourage you all to, if you can and if you have the capacity, to start having the conversations and starting the healing with your family. Again, I'm not perfect, and it's a lot of shit that needs to be done too, and I'm getting there, but I want to encourage it so that we can start the healing in our overall families, in our bloodlines, so that as we begin to have our own kids, or even if you have kids, you can start to pour into them to make the type of family they want to stay in and they want to come back to, and they want to, that they miss and that they love unconditionally, because it was a safe place and a soft place for them to land. And so I encourage that. Continue to do that. And if you can, do it. And if you can't, start the healing so that maybe you can. And it won't be possible in every situation, in which case you move on and you start to build the type of family that you want. But I think us doing that work individually within ourselves and then within our family, then we can do it collectively as, you know, Black people. So that's all for me on this one. My word for this one is harmony. Harmony. Because honestly, nobody wins when the family feuds. And that goes to the family you choose, the family you grew up in, the family you was born into. Harmony. And I mean genuine harmony. Not that fake harmony that, you know, you put on so that the family can make it through Thanksgiving and you ignore your pedophile uncle. Not that kind of harmony. Genuine harmony where you talk about the hard shit, you push through, and you do what you gotta do. So yeah, on that, I think that's it for me. Cheers, and I will see you all on the next one.